once you win it all, the end is always jarring, and it was for you guys at the end of last spring, but you had a good run too. How did you feel like your group processed those results, the returners, and kind of how they channeled that through this offseason and into fall now?
Excited to go further than we've gone, which is to a super regional. Disappointed that we lost in the super regional and knowing that we're 2 games away, but then excited to get into this year and to go past it. So them understanding, I think the only way that you can continue to get better is with experience. And so now they've experienced how to win a regional. They've experienced what it feels like to be in a super regional. Like they're experiencing those things that we were originally trying to get to. So I think when you have that, it goes a long way. It makes them want to work hard in the summer. It makes them want to work hard in the fall because they know it was so close.
Replacing that experience is always just part of college sports, but replacing the 2 who you lost is a particular challenge because of 5th years. I mean, how do you replace Bunk? Everything that she did. How do you do it? How do you go about replacing what Bunk and Tara brought a day-to-day basis? I mean, Tara showed up in fall ball last year from class and hits a home run. I mean, how do you replace that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think sometimes I don't know if you always replace athletes. There's some athletes, I don't know if they're replaceable, but what I think about is I just think about what we had to go through last year as a team. It gave a lot of experience to the seniors that are here, the seniors and the 5th years that are here. And I think what you'll see from them is when Bunk and Tara were here, they maybe had particular roles as leaders where maybe it was more of show by an example, where I think you will probably hear more from Taya and hear more from some others this year vocally because we lost 2 vocal leaders.
I think Matt Homer said, with Brooke Nuneville, it took a while for him to just get used to the fact she wasn't out there. Did you find yourself at all in some practices, looking for Tara, looking for Bunk?
Yeah. I mean, they've been with me since day one. So you just, they're going to eventually graduate, but then you just kind of feel like they're just going to be here forever, right? Until you see them on senior day. So no, I could feel that. Same thing for us. I think for our athletes as well is that, you start getting into a rhythm at the end of the year and you know exactly what you need to do to prepare and then get into the next game. And I think coming into the fall, we even felt that way a little bit, it's just a continuation, and it's not. It's a new journey. And so understanding that there's a new journey, new roles. It's not about trying to match last year. It's about taking what we learned from last year and going into a new journey this year.
So what's the identity? What are the strengths of this group that you want to try to build on this fall?
I think when you would talk about this group, their team culture and how they go about things with each other is really, really important. They've learned that. At the end, you have to have everybody all in from the beginning to the end. And that's tough to do with teams. And this team last year worked really hard at that. And so you could see them understanding things that we need to do in the fall, that it's going to make a big difference for them as a team and connecting and the cohesiveness of our group. But then also just the urgency. If we come in the fall and we start all over, we're below the standard. So last year's standard was high. This year's standard in the fall is even higher, and they understand that and are running with that.
Last year, you had mentioned that you had such a veteran-laden team that it was basically kind of like a continuation. Kind of segueing off of what you said, how is having such a big group of newcomers, how do you balance trying to keep that standard high with people who don't know what that standard is?
Yeah, it comes from leadership of us as coaches, but also of our returning players. It's all of us having to work together to get them to understand, what that looks like. What does Oregon softball look like? And I think that's why for us, we're so fortunate. One of the first things that we do when everybody returns is that we go on a retreat. And it gives us an opportunity to really just sit down and take the time to sort things out and talk about what this is going to look like. What are the things that we're needing to accomplish in the fall? Right now, to look to the very end, I think doesn't make sense. It's about what is it right now that's in front of us that we need to do. And we walk away from the fall going, yes, we've checked those boxes off. We're ready for the next spot.
Okay, so Sunday's basically right in front of you. What are the boxes you want to check, particularly on Sunday?
that can we have a group of old and new come together quickly, and it doesn't look like that. That's what I would like to see. Can you have a group that's experienced and understand what they need to do, come out and do that quickly?
Let's go back to Tara for a moment. Looks like she's still in town, and she's posted a couple of things about coaching. Mm-hmm. Is she going to be on staff?
Yes, she's a player, like player development, like director of player development would be her title. So no, she's here and just in a different role. She's not coaching, but she is somebody that's here in practice. And you think of our statistics and our metrics and all of those things that we do in practice. You think about dartfish and all of the video that needs to be clipped and all the behind the scenes. That's what she's into right now.
So in a game, she can communicate with you, but not a player, or is she not even allowed?
She's just, think of her as a staff member that has responsibilities. Like, it's not coaching, it's just more of just like you would see in basketball. You have a person that's tallying and keeping track of, you know.
I didn't know she'd be calling pitches with you again.
No, she'd do a great job. But no, it's basically more of like player development and giving us as coaches statistics. Pitchers, are they getting ahead on first pitch? Are they, we get to an 0-2 count, or are we putting the batter away, or are we allowing the batter to stay in the count? Offensively, quality hits, hard hit balls, that type of stuff, information that she can give to us, but also prepare her because she's going to be a coach. And so it'll prepare her for what's next.
Who gets the first crack at second? Is it Paige bumping over and Hannah or somebody, or Remington for that matter, going to the left side? Is it Remington? Is it Hannah because she was naturally an infielder before all this? Like, what is who tries to fill 51's spot?
I think you'll see KK over there. You'll see Katie Flannery over there. You've seen Remington over there. You'll see a couple different. Right now, you could see in each spot we've got 2 or 3 that's there, and it's who wants it. It's wide open. Let's go.
So that blending of the veterans and the newcomers, just how's that been going so far?
Mm-hmm. Good. There's times in practice where things are running smooth, and then there's times where we have bumps, and it's just, you have that blend of old and new. So it's like, how quickly can we get that to not look old and new and look as one?
The fall is basically to kind of create that foundation that you're going to build and kind of move forward. How is it trying to recreate that again with a new coach on the staff? Mm-hmm. Trying to get the cohesive where things are going to be going amongst the staff, coaching staff, in spite of what's going on with the players.
Yeah.
How are you guys handling that, managing that?
Great. I mean, we miss Coach Reagan. She's awesome. I just love just everything that she brought to us. She brought so much to us in so many different ways. But then I'm excited for Coach Romero because I've known her since she was young, and I coached her at Oklahoma. We won a national championship together. Like, we come from the same. And so she's only been with us for how long, but it doesn't feel that way because just naturally we flow pretty well together. She coached with Coach Martyr. Her and Coach Liss have played together on various teams. So there's a familiarity that allows us to, I think, move quickly as well.
Emma's probably the most prominent hitting transfer you've had from a proven standpoint. I realize, yes, Tara was obviously prominent, but she hadn't played at that point. How much do you have to lean on her to be the player that she was because of the position she's filling, but also just, you lost 2 really big bats and you need somebody to bring that production, not just everybody to raise their level, but you really need her to be everything she was at Georgia Tech and more.
Yeah, she's a great addition to us. I'm excited for what she's going to bring to us. She's got a great left-handed bat. She's at the end of her journey, so she doesn't need experience. She doesn't need to figure things out. I think the biggest thing for her is just to settle in with us, which I think she's done nicely. You can tell she's older. Just the way she goes about things in a really good way. You can just tell that she's older. I think she's going to do a great job. I think of her. I think of Val. I think of our others as well. You think about losing Tara, but then I'm excited. It's tough when it's bittersweet. You see a couple of your athletes leave, especially who've made great impact, but then it's awesome to see what's next and who else is going to step in and how they're going to go about it. So I expect Emma to come in and be impactful right away.
What does a full fall this year do and mean for Stevie compared to a year ago where she was just so limited and really didn't have much of a fall?
I think it means a lot. I think anytime in the fall, we have 8 games. So to be able to pitch in those games, to be able to pitch against your teammates and get those innings goes a long way.
She said she wanted to get stronger. How's that going to help her?
Yes, she is stronger. She came back. I think she always comes back fit, but you can see her stronger. You could see that she's put work into certain areas, and she's much stronger. So to have her in full capacity this fall, where last year we had to go a little slow with it, I'm excited. She's a junior. She knows what she needs to do. It's just about staying healthy, continuing to stay strong, and then get the reps that she needs in the fall to prepare her for the spring.
Speaking of stronger, you also have players who weren't available last year, who are now back, and have some of the ones that had some injuries are no longer dealing with those injuries. How do you expect to see them progress this season, not having them at full or having them at all last season?
Yeah, same thing. I just think, to me, when I think about the fall, it's you need to come in the fall ready to go so you can get what you need to get out of the fall. And I think sometimes it's tough when you're injured because then you can only do so much. Like with Stevie last year, we had to be patient and she can only do so much. So to see Elise come in and get her innings, she was an athlete last year that we kept trying to get her to be ready at the end of pack and to go into postseason, and we couldn't get there. We just couldn't get there. So she pitched the other day, and it's like, gosh, it was so nice to just see her on the mound and throw. I get to see her. I know what she looks like, and I'm excited for you all and our fans to see her because she's really good at what she does. It just had a tough go at it last year. The
fall gives an opportunity to kind of work and tweak on some things. One of the shortcomings or opportunities that you guys had last year was giving up the long ball. I know that's something Stevie specifically was prioritizing in the offseason. What kind of things do you think that you will look or will be trying to help with the pitching group to eliminate that as being a problem?
Yeah, I think it's just having the ability to have a strength up and to have your strength to be down as well, and to change speeds. That if our strength is just up, then if your strength is more middle up, you're going to get your strikeouts, but then you're also going to give away the long ball. It's a part of it. If your strength is down and just predominantly down, you're going to keep balls in the yard, but then you're not going to have as many strikeouts, more balls are hit. So can we have a better, better quality of being able to go up and down?
Heading into last season, Stevie was pretty much by far the most proven pitcher on the staff and proven arm. How did having the season that you got from Reagan and Morgan last year change your mentality going into this season for what you think the staff can do?
I think this year will be our strongest staff that we've had since I've been here. I think all of them, we have 5 that are very good at what they do and give different looks. I think you're seeing softball go very much to baseball. In the past, you could have 1 or 2 pitchers that could handle it over and over again, and that's not the case. You need to have a staff that can do multiple things, whether I come in and start or I close or I come in and go one time through the lineup. But you need to have the ability to do those different things to be successful. And I think you will definitely get to see that with our staff last year. Thought we did a good job last year. We were just banged up and did well. So to have everybody healthy and able to do their part, I'm excited for what this year looks like.
On the rules front, pitching-wise, as a catcher and longtime pitching coach, what does the, for lack of a better term, hop rule? For forever, that was considered leverage, and that's why it was illegal. Now it's permissible. Do you want some of your players to do it? Do you care if they do it? Do you see an advantage to doing it? What are your thoughts on that rule change?
I think it's something you either do or you don't. I think we've been doing it this whole time, and there's games where it's called and there's a lot of games where it's not called. So I don't really think it changes because I think there's athletes that have been doing it their whole career. So I think what it does is give them a relief going, okay, I haven't been called for how many games, and then now this game I've gotten called how many times. So now they just don't have to worry about that one or a couple times that they get called. That's what I think about it.
Are the mid-years officially done? I know that was up last year as like they were going to outlaw the mid-year. A year ago they were talking about it. Did that go through? Like,
yes.
Okay, so you can't add an Elise again this year. Okay, I was just making sure. Obviously much attention for the last 2 months on the move to the Big Ten. what are your thoughts as a coach of that opportunity, what that offers? Yes, there's the logistical challenges undoubtedly, but very different competition as much as you'll also be playing UCLA and Washington still. What are your thoughts on the move?
I'm excited about it. I think our president has he's answered this question a lot, and I really agree with him. He talks about being able to have multiple emotions. I think about being a young player and going, the Pac is the best softball conference in the country. And I've felt that way since I was young, when I was in the Big 12, and then now being here. And so to see that go away, I think it stinks. And I hate that. Like, I don't want it to go away. I think our conference is so good. But then I'm excited for what the Big 10 is going to offer, and the additional resources and, just things that come along with being a part of the Big 10. I think the college landscape is definitely changing. And I think for all of us, we don't like change, but I'm confident that the change is going to be really, really positive for our group.
You talked about using this fall to mesh those two groups, the young and the older. What kind of challenges are you expecting this team to run into through this fall?
I think probably the biggest thing when you're trying to mesh is just communication. You have an older group that's been there and they just know what they need to do, and a younger group that needs more reps. And so the communication piece, I think, is always the biggest part. I think our athletes would tell you the same thing, is that when we really understand how to communicate, that's when we are strong with what we do, and you see us flow in practice, flow in the games. I think when we have missteps, then we tend to lack in that area.
In the coaches meeting so far for the Big Ten, I've heard you got a little bit of an assist from Kelly on that early on. That what is the conversation about what the scheduling might look like? I mean, right now they're at 24, but adding more teams, theoretically, one could argue should probably expand. Is it going to be sticking at 8 series in 24, or do you think it should increase? And will there be a protected rivalry series with the West Coast teams because of logistics, or where did some of these things stand at the moment for softball?
I would tell you right now, we're actually kind of still right in the middle of that and trying to figure it out. So we've had talks on that, but there hasn't been anything definite yet. But it's figuring out, is it 24, is it 22, what? We don't have the answers yet.
Sure. How much have you talked to Rob or Val about, again, when the news first came out, players have their reactions. That's fine, and nobody owes any apologies. But about what would this sport need? Like, does charter travel, because it came up with UCLA, is charter travel for those Sunday days on the road when you are at Penn State or Maryland or Rutgers, will that be a necessity? Is that something that they've committed to? Like, where do things stand with, like, what would be optimal for those just longer trips that are going to come up?
Yeah, I think you'll see some changes, and as far as us having to get over there. I think with everything, they're still trying to figure things out. But I trust our leadership. I trust Rob. I trust Val. And I think they have our best interests, in all the sports. And I think sometimes with this, you just have to be patient and trust the people around you and just let it get figured out. So I think there's still so much to do, that they haven't gotten everything where it needs to be. But do I think they will? I do.
Rob's talked about for all the sports that are impacted, that perhaps the non-conference flips around a little bit. All right, if conference travels longer, all right, maybe you won't go to Florida in the years to come. Yeah, Mary Nutter, sure. But will you now play Stanford or Utah more non-conference than you went to Baylor? You've gone to North Carolina. Now things are just flipped in a sense.
I think that's interesting just to hear kind of the chatter with all those different trips. And just from an insider's view, you look at when we went to every athlete that comes here, our job in the 4 years that they're here is to get them either back home or close to home. So you look at North Carolina, Jordandale, let's get you home. You look at going to Florida, Morgan Scott, let's get you home. Like, you look at going to the Puerto Vallarta, that's a great trip that we get to do every couple years. It's a big trip for us. And so you could see how using these different trips, I don't know, I just think there's just more to it and why we do those trips. So if we have some trips now that are going to take us more east, then maybe we stay a little more west on the front side. We could do that. I'm excited. I definitely like our Oregon State series. I would love to keep that series. I'm hoping that's something we'll definitely do because I want to continue to play Oregon State, and it's going to give us more home games as well. So I think with Stanford and Cal and some of these teams that are close by, it'll give us some opportunity to have some more home games.
And that would offer potential for midweeks where you're not bringing in a mid-major in a Tuesday, Wednesday. You could go up to or vice versa whenever it was convenient, basically.
Yeah.
Having had a couple of years with NIL now, and kind of, you were talking about the opportunity going to the big, but, there's more exposure, more opportunities. Where would you assess Oregon softball? Football is kind of where everyone thinks NIL. Where would you assess Oregon's NIL standing in softball?
Yeah.
And what opportunities are there and things that you would like to perhaps see?
I think Division Street has provided a great opportunity for our athletes. So you can go on social media and see some of our athletes that are part of that. But I think NIL brings great opportunity, and you can see that our athletes are in the middle of that. So
this offseason seems like you added a lot more younger players. Was there a bit of a goal to get this team a bit younger and build towards that future?
Well, if you look at our senior class, we have 9 that we're going to lose this year, and that's the combination of the 2 classes. That's the freshmen, the college freshmen during COVID, and the high school seniors that became one group. So that's why there's so many, we have more coming in this year and next year.
What have you been most excited about from what you've seen from the freshmen that they've gotten settled in the fall?
I think we've got some really, really good freshmen. All of them do a lot of different things, and to just see them come in as freshmen and be impactful right away, that's what excites me, because I think about what it is that we need to do. We need our freshmen. We need them to come in and be impactful, and that's what I'm seeing in the fall.
Last year you had a pretty early understanding that your team was going to be much more powerful. You knew that going in. And I know team speed, last year you had a lot of team speed. It seems like a lot of the new freshmen have a lot of speed too. What would you say your initial assessment, what is the biggest strength that you see so far in your couple of weeks?
Definitely speed. You can see that for sure. I think you could see some power. I think that you would be able to see that we can manufacture runs a lot of different ways. So whether it's through short game or situational or standing up and hitting the ball deep, I think you could see that we have a lot of different ways to win this year.